Well, why is picking the right Medicare plan so confusing? Well, I can tell you that if you're turning the age of 65, or if you have any other qualifying Medicare event, we're going to talk about 5 key mistakes that you're going to need to be aware of so you don't make these mistakes when you're picking your Medicare plan in our Financial Freedom video, so stay locked in. Hi, my name is Carson Graves, Certified Financial Planner and President and CEO of the Retirement Education Center.
And my name is Andrea Graves, Director of Operations at the Retirement Education Center. For additional concepts on how to maximize your retirement, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when we upload new videos.
Well, today, Andrea, the teacher is going to be the student, because we're going to be talking about 5 key mistakes that people make when it comes to Medicare options. Now, I know that when I'm helping my clients, with their retirement situations and their retirement questions, Andrea, there are so many key elements and so many mistakes that they can make had it not been for them coming in and getting professional advice. And I know that this is a huge government program that a lot of people depend on, but I also know that it can be very confusing and there can be a lot of mistakes made. So I'm hoping that as I am the student today and you're going to be teaching us, that you can clear up some of these key mistakes that I think many people will have when it comes to their Medicare options.
Well, yes, Carson, I've worked in this space in one capacity or another for many years. So when it comes to picking the right policy, I want to make sure that everyone chooses the right plan for themselves. But before we do that, there are 2 rules regarding retirement income planning that I always do, but you can do the honors today.
Well, I don't mind if I do. Rule number 1 is to never run out of money. Rule number 2 is to never forget rule number 1.
Okay, so let's jump into our lesson today and talk about these 5 key mistakes that you need to be aware of and avoid.
Now, Andrea, as you know, in my line of work and as a fiduciary independent financial advisor, people are always overwhelmed about the many options that they have when it comes to retirement planning. But I'm pretty sure that it's no different when it comes to Medicare planning as well. And a lot of times my clients may ask me about, what Medicare plan is best for them. And I think that the first mistake that you have noted is that people should understand the true cost of traditional Medicare. But what is traditional Medicare?
Well, traditional Medicare, which is covered by the government, has 3 parts: Part A, Part B, and Part D. Now, if you're wondering about Part C, I'll get to that in a moment. But Part A basically covers your inpatient hospital stays. Part B covers your physician services, things like that. And Part D covers your prescription drug plans.
Okay, so I've heard of many of those terminologies and understand the basics for, Medicare planning, of course. But are people automatically, Andrea, enrolled in traditional Medicare, or do they have to take steps to apply for it at some point down the road when they turn 65?
Okay, no, Carson, people aren't automatically enrolled in Medicare. But if you claim Social Security before the age of 65, the Social Security Administration will automatically enroll you into Medicare when you turn 65. So you'll get a packet in the mail a few months before you turn 65 with the information about your Medicare. Now, if you've been on Social Security disability for 24 months, you could receive that package before you turn 65. Now, at that time, you can choose to keep or decline Part B, just depending on what your situation is. Now, keep in mind that if you do qualify for Social Security, meaning that you do have 40 credits, that Part A is free, but Part B is not. So you still have to pay a premium for Part B services.
So, Andrea, you definitely explained some of the key elements when it comes to traditional Medicare. But what would you say is the biggest mistake when it comes to the cost of traditional Medicare that most people must understand?
Okay, Carson, well, I think most people will make a mistake by not knowing that they are responsible for 20% of that Medicare approved cost of services. And as you know, could greatly compromise retirees' savings.
Yeah, 20% of the approved Medicare costs if they had to come, if most of my clients, I would say, had to come out of pocket for any major services, that could greatly compromise their retirement for sure. So I want to make sure that I completely bring this home. So you're saying that someone who has a cost, a Medicare approved cost, let's just say there's some cancer treatment that they need. Are you telling me that if that cancer treatment was $100,000, they are going to need to come out of pocket $20,000 to cover those services because Medicare is only going to cover 80% of that cost?
That is correct. And that is why it's so important that they speak with someone that is a specialist knowing about those services, like getting a Medicare supplement plan, or else you will be out of pocket 20%.
Okay, Andrew, you mentioned a Medicare supplement plan. So that brings me to really the mistake number 2. We talked about the cost of traditional Medicare has been a mistake. The next mistake that you have is not understanding your Medicare gap plan or your Medicare supplement plan. Tell us a little bit more about how this could be a huge mistake for people who are choosing their Medicare options.
Okay, well, yes. As studies show, 10% of people that have traditional Medicare do not have a Medicare supplement plan. And now that's either by choice or that's either by lack of information. But a Medicare supplement plan is key in helping to pay the cost sharing plan of the Parts A and Parts B. For instance, your Medicare Part A deductible, that 20% coinsurance that could bankrupt most retirees, hospital costs after you've run out of Medicare covered days, and skilled nursing facility costs after you've run out of Medicare covered days as well. So make sure that if you stick with a traditional Medicare plan, that you do get a Medicare supplement plan as well.
So when you talk about a Medicare supplement plan, Andrea, I know that can come with a pretty steep cost for some people. So can you tell us a little bit about how people maybe can go around that, or is that the case always? What is your thoughts about the cost of a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare gap plan?
So honestly, Carson, yes, I would say that it does vary from state to state, but someone with decent financial means would choose this option.
So, Andrea, we've talked about Part A and Part B pretty extensively here. You mentioned Part C and Part D, but you said you want to get to Part C later. You want to save that for last. But tell us about Part D and how someone should go about thinking about what they should be doing when it comes to their Part D, which is the prescription drug coverage when it comes to Medicare.
Okay, with the prescription drug plan, you want to make sure that you do speak with someone, a specialist about this as well. But you want to make sure that you apply for your Part D drug plan. So it is important that you know that you only have 63 days after your initial enrollment into Medicare to get into a Medicare Part D plan. So if you don't have creditable insurance with maybe an employer, and if you miss this window of opportunity, your premium will be higher.
Now, Andrea, mistake number 4 is something that I get all the time from my clients, and that's really wondering if they should do a traditional Medicare plan or actually choose a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, I know that it can be different for everyone depending on their situation, but can you try to make this concise for us and help us understand the key difference in having a Medicare Advantage plan, or why people may choose this and how it can be a mistake versus them having a traditional Medicare plan?
Okay, so Medicare Advantage plan is an alternative to the traditional Medicare. Now, this is also known as Medicare Part C. Before you can get the Medicare Advantage plan, you must sign up for Parts A and Parts B. Now, I do want you to know that just because it's a Medicare Advantage plan, you do have to make sure that they do have a Part D prescription drug plan included in the plan if that's what you're wanting. So just make sure that you're choosing the right plan that's for you. Now, the main attraction for the Medicare Advantage plan is that most people see the zero premium or the zero out-of-pocket fees.
Well, Andrea, from my perspective, when I know about a plan where I don't have to pay out of pocket or I don't have any expenses or premiums to pay for that plan, that is obviously going to be an attraction for me as well. So what mistakes should people look out for when they're just choosing a Medicare Advantage plan because of the fact that they don't have an out-of-pocket fee or they don't have any expenses they have to pay for the premiums?
Okay, Carson, yes, I can understand that, but you have to be careful because the zero premium is only for Parts A and Parts D. Now, you still will have to pay your premium for your Part B plan. Also, you want to think about your freedom that you have with the traditional Medicare. You don't have that freedom with the Medicare Advantage plan. With the Medicare Advantage plan, you will have to go to their in-network providers. Or if you go to an out-of-network provider, there may be a cost to that because you're seeing doctors that are not in the network or going to a hospital that's not in the network. So if there is a coinsurance of the 20%, then that's what you would have to pay. But with traditional Medicare, you can see any doctor that accepts Medicare and any hospital that accepts Medicare as well. So if you need to see a specialist or any type of doctor that you're referred to, maybe from a friend that you like to see and it's not covered by the Medicare Advantage plan, or if you travel out of the US or to go to different states even, then you may want to consider traditional Medicare so you can have that freedom.
So now, Andrew, mistake number 5 is one that I always highlight in my videos when I'm teaching, and that is not speaking to a qualified Medicare specialist. Can you expound on that just a little bit and why that could be such a huge mistake, maybe more so than all the ones that you've spoken about already?
Well, for sure. You want to speak with a Medicare specialist because you want to take the confusion and frustration out of your search for Medicare options. And as an independent advisory firm, this is exactly what we do for our clients. We simply ask questions and we match your needs with the right plan for you.
Thank you again for tuning in to our Financial Freedom video. Please note that these videos are created for educational purposes only, and that you should always seek out your own financial advisor, your own tax advisor, and your own attorney regarding your personal situation. Also, if you are looking for an independent fiduciary advisor to help you with these types of complex financial matters, we highly recommend that you utilize the links in our description below and go ahead and schedule a 1-hour free consultation with us today.
After this video, please check out our other videos that will give you tips on how to maximize your retirement. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you have questions,
we have answers.